graders. We're here with your first science lesson where you're going to actually be building your tower.
Ooh, I can't wait.
It's fun. Yes. So yesterday, well not yesterday, 2 days ago, the last time we did science, we read the story of the 3 little pigs.
Yep.
And each of those pigs chose a different material to build their house out of. And we learned, which might be better materials than others based on how sturdy, strong, flexible they are. So we're going to take all of that and we are going to be doing some tower building of our own. And there are going to be 3 different towers you build. And each time you build one, we're going to be using a different material to see how the different materials measure up against each other.
It's going to be fun.
Can you tell us what we're going to be using first?
Yeah, so today we're going to be using paper. That's going to be the first item that we're using for the tower.
Yeah, and you guys might be thinking to yourself, these 4 sheets of paper don't look like they're going to be very strong or very sturdy.
Well, we're going to have to figure that out.
Yeah. Before we get into that, we have a quick video we want to show you guys, and then we'll tell you what you're going to be doing, okay?
Antarctica is home to these emperor penguins. But they're not the only ones living here. This strange-looking building is called Halley 6. And it's home to a group of British scientists. They're here to do important research. But Antarctica is not an easy place to live. It gets so cold that your breath can freeze into icicles on your face. So, to keep the team safe and warm, Halley 6 had to be very carefully designed. These pods are made of steel. The steel is lightweight to make sure the building isn't too heavy for the ice. And it's extra tough to make sure it can cope with the cold, windy weather. Each pod is also covered in panels made of a special type of plastic. The panels keep cold air out and trap heat inside, so the inside of the building stays nice and cozy. But staying warm isn't the only thing the scientists have to worry about. Halley 6 sits on top of a big sheet of ice, and there's a danger that the ice might crack underneath the pods, causing them to sink. Luckily, Halley 6 has a special trick. It can ski. This means that if the scientists are ever worried that the ice isn't safe, the whole building can be towed somewhere else, one pod at a time. This clever design, with the right choice of materials, makes Halley 6 the perfect building for life in icy Antarctica.
All right. So, just like our pigs in our story, these scientists had to use their knowledge of the properties of different materials to come up with the strongest, sturdiest, but also lightweight and movable structure so they could do all their research in Antarctica on the ice.
That looked pretty crazy.
Right?
I wonder how they were able to think of all the different pieces of what they would need and they were able to put that together.
I bet you they made a lot of mistakes before they came to that conclusion.
I bet.
Do you think they got it on their first try?
Absolutely not.
No.
And you know what I'm left wondering?
What?
Do you think it floats?
I bet you it does.
I mean, if it's on ice and something were to happen before they moved it, I wonder if it could also float.
I bet they thought about that. They didn't mention it, but they're pretty smart people. Huh.
Videos, I should say, always make me come up with more questions that they didn't answer. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I really liked that. So we talked about building a tower out of paper. You guys have 4 pieces of construction paper in your science kits. Now, you don't have to limit yourself to only these 4 pieces. If you have construction paper or other paper that you want to add to this or use instead of, we're fine with that.
Yeah, anything you want is fine.
As long as it's paper, because that's the thing that is significant about today's experiment, is that we're all using the same type of material, because the next time we're going to use a different material and we want to be able to test it against paper. So your goal today is to create a tower that is not only strong, but can withstand strong winds.
Yep.
Okay. And can also hold some weight on top of it. Yeah.
All right, that's going to be kind of hard.
Yeah. So let me tell you guys something. You're going to be making 3 total towers. 1 tower today and 2 towers next week. We do not want you to throw the tower away today when you're done with this lesson. You need to save it. And then the towers you make next week, the next 2 towers, you need to save those as well. If you have younger siblings or an animal or a mom who likes to throw everything away because she wants everything to be clean and neat all the time, like I do to Mia's room all the time, and you do, then you need to make sure you tell everybody, don't touch my towers, and you need to put them somewhere safe where nobody is going to be able to get to them and destroy them or throw them away before you can test your towers once we have created all 3 of them. So you are not done with this tower after today's lesson. Save it, okay? So Ms. Marquardt, can you turn the page for us?
Sure.
And we will look at what it is that we need to accomplish today.
All right, I'm going to be on page 39 in our student workbook, which is right here.
All right, so page 39 says to sketch your tower design. So on this section, you're going to think, before you actually start moving and manipulating your paper, you're going to think about what would be the best design for your tower. Well, first you got to think about your paper and what can you do with it. Okay, so I guess I could fold it, right? I could bend it and maybe do something like that.
Fold.
I could roll it, right? Kind of like a paper towel holder or a toilet paper holder. Oh, we do want to tell you guys that you need to use some kind of tape or like material that you can combine this with. So either like clear Scotch tape, if you have duct tape, if you have masking tape, whatever kind of tape you guys have at home is fine to use for this, or rubber bands if that's all you have. But we did not provide tape for you, so hopefully there's some kind of tape at your house.
You know what we didn't mention about the towers too is on that sheet we also wrote down a cardboard base. If they want to tape it down onto a piece of cardboard, you can, so that you don't have to tape it to your kitchen table. So you could use like an old Amazon box, for example, or a shoe box, only if you want to.
Yeah.
And a base just means like the bottom, so that it doesn't fall over on you.
So if I had an Amazon box and I wanted to cut out a little square of it, and then tape my tower onto it, it'll help it stay up.
Exactly.
And then I can move it around. Perfect.
Because mom might not want it on the kitchen table. Yeah. I don't know.
You definitely aren't going to want to tape it to the kitchen table.
This mom wouldn't want it on the kitchen table.
Awesome. So, you're not necessarily going for who has the highest tower. It's not a competition in height. It's a competition in how sturdy it is.
Yeah,
right?
Strength and durability.
So maybe you decide that using 2 pieces of paper and wrapping it like this will make it sturdier. Or 3. Or maybe you take another one and put it on top of this to make it higher. Or, I mean, what else could you do?
Well, I remember when I was younger, I used to like stack cards. Maybe there's a way to, you know, put them together. Or,
Miss Marquardt,
yeah.
Could they cut these if they wanted to?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
They could cut them. They could make little notches in the paper to stick them together.
Okay.
And you know what I'm reminded of? When we just watched that video, you mentioned something about how those scientists probably didn't get it right the first time. They might start a design and then completely change their mind if it doesn't work.
That's true. But here's the thing, you guys are doing this at home, so if you don't have extra construction paper besides what we've given you, you're kind of limited in your choices of what you can do. So if you go straight into cutting this paper up and realize that that doesn't work, you're not going to be able to try something new. So we would recommend maybe trying some things that don't require cutting if that's where you want to go first. And then if you want to change your design and do some cutting or tearing or whatever it is that you want to do to your paper, maybe have that be like a next step. Because you're not going to be able to get more paper. So a couple things, you're going to sketch out what you want your design to look like. And then down here it says, I could test the strength of my tower during strong winds by. So we're going to give you a heads up how you're going to do this, and you guys can write this down, copy what I'm saying right now. We're going to basically put it in front of a fan. Now you're probably wondering, Miss Grant, I don't have a fan at my house. Okay, well if you don't have a fan, there's other things you could do. You could blow on your tower. That's something you could write here. You could take a piece of paper or a book and kind of create wind by pumping it up and down and creating like a force of wind that way. So first, if you have a fan, we would recommend using that. Usually fans have like different levels of power. Maybe the first level, level 1, is not as powerful as level 3, so you could try it at different levels. We're not going to be testing it with a fan until we finish all 3 towers, so you don't have to worry about that today, but it is something we're going to do, okay? So we want to make sure that once you create your tower and you tape it up and you tape it to whatever cardboard base you have, that it will stay standing, and then eventually one of your tests is going to be, if I hold it in front of a fan or I put it on a table in front of a fan, it's not going to fall over, okay? And then over here, design solutions, draw your team's tower, where you are your own team because you're at home doing this. So this part is going to be, what did it look like after you created it? The first picture was in your mind, you were designing it, but then you actually made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those might look completely different
Yes.
once you got busy with tape and scissors and all of that.
So once you have your final tower done, you're going to draw what it ended up looking like, okay? And then you're going to ask, why did your team choose this design for the tower? Again, you're not doing this in the classroom, so you don't have an actual team. You're doing this on your own at home. So why did you choose this design that you ended up drawing? I chose this because the first design I did, it didn't work very well. The second design I did worked well, but I figured out how to improve it. I knew that you know, putting 2 pieces of paper together was going to make it stronger than 1 piece. Whatever it is, you can explain that to us. We did want to talk to you. We have these books here, these Dogman books. Other than, can you hold this for me?
Sure can.
Miss Margaret, we told them that they're going to be testing it with a fan to see if it can withstand wind.
Yep.
What else are we going to be having them test when they're done with all 3 towers?
So we're also going to test how strong it is and whether it can withstand weight at the top of it.
Okay. And so we know you guys don't just have a bunch of random weights at your house. So what we do in the classroom when we do this activity is that we use books to test the weight. So for example, if the tower is here, and we'll pretend that it's taped and it's not being held by Miss Marquardt, we can put a book on top of it, and you can see that that paper, Miss Marquardt's hands are not holding that book up. She's just wrapping the tape, pretending to be a piece of tape, okay? But you can see that these papers are strong enough to hold a Dogman book, okay? You might have a different book at home, that's fine. But let's see if we can hold 2 Dogman books, okay? Eventually, they're going to get to a point where 2 or 3 or 4 books is too much weight, but you're going to be able to test how many books it can hold based on how strong it is. So that's what that means. That's why we have books. So in the end, you're going to be testing for how strong it is against wind and how much weight it can hold. So we just want to make sure that you're keeping that in mind when you're creating your tower, that you have a spot on top of it where you can put a book and it will be able to sit on its own without you holding it. Okay, so one last thing I wanted to mention is that I remember that you and I have class photo albums.
Yes.
This would be a great opportunity for parents to take a picture of your tower and post it on our class photo albums, which can be found under the parents link, the parent portal of our class websites. So if you create your tower and you're really proud of it and you want to stand next to it or just take a picture of your tower and post it on there, we would love to see these. So good luck, have fun, enjoy yourself.